It's time for another Out of Bounds Rewind with Bo Bounds on ESPN 105.9, The Zone.
Here's what's crazy about sports. Bryce Young's amazing. But he's not going to win a national championship at Bama, and Stetson Bennett could walk out of Georgia with 2. How about that, Tom Luginbill?
Well, pretty simple answer to that question. It's not a question, but it's you're sitting there looking at it and you're going, wow, how can that be? Well, guess what? Alabama's been sloppier than Georgia.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, like, for example, you take a look, that game, watch that game before our game. That's kind of the beauty sometimes of being on the West Coast, is you get to see a lot of the day play out. And I immediately went to team stats after that. And I looked at a couple of areas. Third down conversion rate on offense. LSU was better than Alabama. Turnovers, LSU was better than Alabama. Rush attempts, all right? LSU had more than Alabama. You've heard me talk about that before. So it all kind of aligned, right? I mean, that's why LSU won the game. Penalties, Alabama more penalties than LSU. That's reared its ugly head all year long. And so you look at the national championship game a year ago, made more mistakes than the opponent did. I mean, when sometimes we overcomplicate this game, and even when you have a great football team and you go on the road in a hostile environment, for all of the athletic gifts and all of the production and how impressive Bryce Young is, when you actually look at that first or second drive of the game and you see that ill-advised throw he made in the end zone, well, what was the difference in the game? 1 point, right?
Yeah.
If he just eats it, goes to the ground, they're coming away with at least 3, probably 7. And now all of a sudden we're talking about a different outcome. But guess what? He made a mistake. And he made a mistake that LSU didn't make. And it took points off the board. And so those things, man, they start to build, they start to compound, and it's tough to get over it.
And the reason why, Tom, is because Bryce Young knows he has to press, because he has to overcompensate for what they are not. What they were a couple years ago with Waddle and Devontae and da-da-da, but they're not that anymore, Tom.
Right.
And so he understands that he's got to do it. You know, look, some of these guys I'm referencing, I'm not taking shots at, but Mac Jones had different personnel, and so did Jake Coker.
Sure.
Tom?
Sure.
He did. They did.
Absolutely. Greg McElroy did too.
Yes.
And again, too, you also they were on teams that were making less mistakes. They were on teams that it was a little bit different in the sense that they were really pulling out and ahead of the rest of the pack of college football. And now we've seen college football kind of, play catch up a little bit. I mean, you look at Georgia and you look at LSU, you look at what Ole Miss has been able to accomplish. So it's, the level of competition, I think, is increased. I think it's become a more competitive landscape, if you will.
Yes. All right. So with what Kirby's doing, and now LSU has a real coach who will have elite talent. He didn't have it at Notre Dame. Not that elite. This is a little bit of a shift. Now, I'm not doing this for a hot take, Tom Luginbill, but
okay.
And I do believe that they can win it again before Saban heads out into the sunset. But the dynasty that we know from 2009 until through Mac Jones, the 2020 champion, that's over, because Georgia is here to stay. LSU is coming, and Ohio State's here, and then there will be another team. I just think it's a more difficult path than it was during that 12-week run. Am I crazy? What do you think?
No, I think you're 100%
12 years, excuse
correct. Me. Yeah, I think you're 100% correct. And listen, I think it's foolish for us to say, and you phrased it correctly, nobody's saying that the sky is falling in Tuscaloosa. Nobody's saying that all of a sudden this is going to be a mediocre program. We're not saying that. But it's very, very clear, and I don't want to say that the torch has been passed, but it's very clear that Georgia has become what we saw Alabama become in the last, 13 to 15 years. That is now happening in Athens, right? And again, that's not to take away from the accomplishments of Alabama, but we've got to acknowledge that this wasn't going on forever.
Right.
And we get spoiled and we get conditioned to believe that this is going to be here forever and it's never going to go away and we're never going to struggle. And that's not reality. I mean, it's not how it works.
Don't miss one moment of the Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds. Weekdays, 7 a.m. till 10 a.m. on ESPN 105.9. The Zone.